she started locking the bathroom door. I knew my marriage was dying the moment my wife started taking her phone into the shower. That sounds small, petty even, but when you've spent 7 years with someone, you notice tiny changes like they're earthquakes. Emily used to leave her phone anywhere, kitchen counter, couch cushions. Sometimes she'd even ask me to reply to texts for her while she was driving. Then, one day, the phone never left her hand again. Bathroom? Locked. Late-night work emails? Locked. Face down on the table every single dinner. And every time I asked about it, she smiled at me like I was insane. "You're being paranoid again." Again. That word hit harder every time she said it, because she knew exactly what it did to me. I grew up with a father who cheated constantly and a mother who ignored obvious lies just to keep the peace. Emily knew that story. She knew my biggest fear was becoming my father or my mother. So when she called me paranoid, I backed down. Every time. At least at first. The weirdest part, she became more affectionate during all this. Too affectionate. She'd kiss me randomly while texting someone else. She started asking about my day in this fake, sweet voice she never used before. She even initiated sex more often, except it felt rehearsed somehow, mechanical, like she was trying to maintain an illusion. And one night, around 2 a.m., I woke up and realized she wasn't in bed. I walked downstairs half asleep. The kitchen light was off, but I could hear whispering. Soft, panicked. I froze near the stairs and heard my wife say, "No, he doesn't know anything." Then silence. A chair scraped the floor, and suddenly she appeared in the hallway holding her phone against her chest like a teenager caught sneaking out. For 3 full seconds, we just stared at each other. Then she laughed, actually laughed. "You scared me," she said. I asked who she was talking to. Without blinking, she said, "My sister." At 2 a.m.? In whispers? In the dark? When I checked later, her sister had posted Instagram stories from a concert that night. That was the first moment my stomach dropped. Not because I knew she was cheating, but because I realized my wife could lie directly to my face without even flinching. And once you see that in someone, you can't unsee it. But I still had no idea how bad this was about to get.
I know that sounds insane. Maybe it is. But when someone twists reality long enough, you start needing proof just to trust your own memory. That's what Emily did to me. She'd say something cruel, then deny it an hour later. She'd promise something, break it, then swear she never promised it. And somehow every argument ended with me apologizing. Always me. A week after the late-night phone call, she came home almost 2 hours late from work. No text, no warning, nothing. I was sitting at the kitchen table, trying not to overthink, when she walked in carrying takeout bags and acting cheerful, like nothing happened. "You could have told me you'd be late," I said carefully. Instant shift, like a switch flipped behind her eyes. "So now I need permission to exist?" My chest tightened immediately. Every conversation somehow became a courtroom, and I was always the criminal. "That's not what I said. You implied it. No, you're controlling lately. It's honestly getting scary." Scary. That word destroyed me because she knew exactly how careful I was about never becoming aggressive, never becoming that guy. Meanwhile, she was the one screaming. I remember standing there completely stunned while she unpacked food like we were in the middle of a fight. Then she casually added, "By the way, Jake from work drove me home. My phone died." She said it too casually, too perfectly, like she'd prepared the line in advance. I asked who Jake was, and she smirked. Not a smile, a smirk. "You've literally met him." I hadn't. I was sure of it, but she kept insisting I had until I genuinely started doubting myself. That night, while she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling, replaying the conversation over and over, until I finally opened my phone and hit record before our next argument. I didn't even know why at the time. Maybe I needed evidence. Maybe I needed sanity. Maybe deep down I already knew the truth. 3 days later, I got my answer. We were arguing about something stupid, laundry, I think, when she suddenly said, "You scream at me constantly." I froze, because I almost never raised my voice, ever. "I do not scream at you." "Yes, you do." "No, I don't. You're literally doing it right now." I wasn't. My voice was calm, completely calm. And that's when I played the recording, right there in the kitchen. The silence afterwards felt radioactive. You could actually hear her yelling on the recording. You could hear me speaking normally. For a second, I thought she'd finally crack, finally admit what she was doing. Instead, she stared at me with this cold expression I'd never seen before and whispered, "I can't believe I married someone who spies on me." Within 10 minutes, I was apologizing again. Apologizing, even though I had literal proof. That's when I realized something terrifying. Facts didn't matter to her. Reality didn't matter. Only control did. But the next morning, something happened that made the recordings feel completely insignificant, because I found a receipt in her coat pocket, and it wasn't from anywhere near her office.
At first, I honestly thought there had to be some explanation. A work event, a friend, anything. But my hands were already shaking before I even unfolded the paper, because deep down I think I already knew. It was from a hotel downtown. Tuesday night, 2 guests, wine charged to the room. The exact night she came home late with the "Jake drove me" story. I remember just standing there in our bedroom, staring at the receipt, while my brain tried to reject what my eyes were seeing. Then I noticed something worse. Check-in time, 6:14 p.m. Emily had texted me at 6:22 saying, "Still stuck at work, probably another hour." I actually sat down on the floor, like my legs stopped working. The scariest part about betrayal isn't the anger. It's the instant replay of every moment you defended them, every time you ignored your instincts, every time you convinced yourself you were overthinking. Suddenly, all those memories line up like dominoes, and they all fall together. When she got home that night, I tried to act normal. I wanted to confront her immediately, but something told me not to. So I watched instead. That's when I noticed another change. She barely looked at me anymore unless we were arguing. Her attention was always somewhere else, her phone, her thoughts, her screen. But every once in a while, she'd glance at me almost nervously, like she was checking whether I knew something. Dinner was painfully quiet until her phone buzzed. She grabbed it so fast she nearly knocked over her drink, and for the first time I saw fear on her face. Real fear. "What?" I asked.
Nothing. Who is it? No one. Always no one. I don't know what came over me, but I reached for the phone, and Emily physically recoiled like I'd pulled a knife on her. "Don't touch my stuff." That hit me hard, because married people don't usually react like that unless there's something catastrophic to hide. I asked why she was acting this way. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Maybe if you weren't so emotionally exhausting all the time, I wouldn't need privacy." Meanwhile, I was barely sleeping, barely eating, constantly anxious, walking on eggshells every day, trying not to trigger another fight. But somehow, I was the problem, again. Later that night, she fell asleep on the couch with her phone still in her hand, and I swear to God I didn't plan to look. But then the screen lit up. One message, just one, from a contact saved under a woman's name I didn't recognize. The preview read, "Miss you already." My heart started pounding so hard it hurt. I carefully took the phone from her hand, unlocked, for the first time in months, unlocked. And what I found wasn't just cheating, it was an entire second life. But the worst part? The messages weren't even the thing that destroyed me most.
I expected flirting, nudes, plans to meet up, typical affair stuff. But what I found was somehow worse. The contact name was Claire Moon. It wasn't Claire. It was a guy named Ryan, and their messages went back almost 8 months. 8 months. I scrolled in complete silence while Emily slept 3 feet away from me. My hands were numb. There were hotel plans, photos, voice notes, inside jokes, but none of that hit me as hard as the way they talked about me. That's what shattered something in me. Ryan asked once, "Does he suspect anything?" And Emily replied, "He's too emotionally dependent to leave." I actually stopped breathing for a second. Then another message. "He apologizes every time. It's honestly pathetic." Pathetic. 7 years together, and that's how she described me to another man, like I was some weak animal she kept around because it was convenient. I kept scrolling, and every message got worse. She mocked my anxiety, mocked my relationship with my father, mocked the fact I worked overtime trying to save money for us to buy a house. One message said, "He still thinks I'm stressed from work, emoji." Another, "I swear I could tell him the sky is green and eventually he'd apologize." I felt physically sick, but then I found the message that changed everything. Ryan asked, "So why not just divorce him?" And Emily replied, "Not until the lease transfer is done." I stared at that sentence over and over. Lease transfer? What lease? We already had an apartment. Then I saw it, a photo attachment. I opened it, and there she was, standing in a modern apartment I'd never seen before, smiling, holding wine, Ryan behind the camera. The caption said, "Can't wait until this place is finally ours." Ours. I zoomed in on the kitchen counter. There was mail sitting there with Emily's name on it. Emily had another apartment. My wife had secretly been building a new life while still sleeping beside me every night. I felt like I was outside my own body, like none of this could possibly be real.
Then suddenly the couch shifted. Emily moved. I locked the phone instantly and set it back down just before her eyes opened. For one horrifying second, I thought she knew, but she just blinked sleepily and said, "Why are you awake?" I looked directly at her, at this stranger wearing my wife's face, and I said the most insane thing possible. Couldn't sleep. She smiled softly, then reached for my hand and whispered, "You worry too much." I almost broke right there, but I didn't, because in that exact moment I stopped wanting answers. I started wanting the truth, and the next day I followed her.
I barely recognized myself that morning. I called in sick to work for the first time in 3 years. Emily kissed me goodbye before leaving. Actually kissed me. "Feel better, okay?" Then she smiled like a loving wife and walked out the door carrying coffee in the mug I bought her for our anniversary. 10 minutes later, I was in my car following her. The entire drive felt unreal. Part of me still hoped I was wrong, that maybe there was some explanation I hadn't considered yet. But Emily didn't drive toward her office. She drove downtown, straight to the apartment from the photo. I parked across the street with my hood up like an idiot, because suddenly I felt ashamed of spying, ashamed of not trusting her, even after everything. That's what manipulation does to you. It makes you feel guilty for discovering the truth. I watched her walk into the building using a key card. No hesitation, no confusion, like she lived there. 20 minutes later, a man arrived. Tall, beard, black jacket. Ryan, I knew instantly. And the second Emily opened the door for him, they kissed. Not a quick kiss, not hesitation. Comfort, routine, like they'd done it 1,000 times. I can still remember the way my stomach dropped. Not because of the cheating, because she looked happier with him than she had with me in years. That thought nearly destroyed me. I sat there for over an hour staring at the building like my brain refused to accept reality. Then my phone buzzed. Emily. I almost didn't answer. "Hey, babe," she said warmly. "Just checking on you." I couldn't even speak for a second. Meanwhile, she was literally inside another apartment with another man. "I'm okay," I finally said. "You sound weird." "I'm tired." "You should rest. I'll probably work late tonight." Work late. I looked directly at the apartment window while she lied to me in real time. Then she said something that made my skin crawl. "I love you." I actually felt anger for the first time. Pure anger. Not sadness, not confusion. Rage. Because suddenly I realized something horrifying. She enjoyed this. The lies, the control, the double life. She enjoyed watching me trust her. After the call ended, I sat there shaking until eventually Ryan stepped outside onto the balcony, phone pressed to his ear, laughing. Then Emily joined him wearing one of my hoodies. My hoodie, the one I'd been looking for months. Ryan wrapped an arm around her waist, and I watched my wife lean into him like she belonged there. And then I heard my own voice from my car speakers, because somehow my phone had accidentally connected to Bluetooth and started auto-playing one of the recordings of our arguments. My own voice filled the car. "I feel like you hate me lately." Then Emily's recorded voice answered coldly, "Maybe you just make yourself hard to love." I completely lost it.
I slammed my hands against the steering wheel so hard the horn went off. And upstairs, both of them looked down toward the street.
The second the horn echoed through the street, Emily froze. Even from that distance, I saw the color leave her face. Ryan leaned over the balcony railing, trying to see what happened, but Emily already knew. She knew that car. She knew it was me. I ducked instinctively, even though it was too late. My heart was pounding so hard, I thought I might actually pass out. Then my phone started ringing. Emily. Again. 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 I just stared at the screen, lighting up over and over, until finally the call stopped. A text appeared. Where are you? Then another. Answer me. Then, are you following me? Not, what are you talking about? Not confusion, not denial. Fear. Real fear. And suddenly something shifted inside me. For months I'd been the scared one. Now it was her. I drove off before she could come downstairs. I don't even remember the drive home. My mind kept replaying the balcony over and over. Her face, Ryan's arm around her, my hoodie. By the time I got back to the apartment, my hands were still shaking. Then I noticed something strange. The bedroom closet was open. Emily never left it open. Inside, one of her suitcases was missing. My stomach dropped again. She knew. 15 minutes later, the front door burst open hard enough to hit the wall. Emily stormed inside, looking completely different from the woman I followed. No softness, no fake warmth, just rage. You followed me? No hello, no explanation. I stood there, silent, and instead of denying it, she laughed, actually laughed. You are genuinely insane. That word again, insane. I asked who Ryan was. She rolled her eyes dramatically like I was exhausting her. A co-worker. I stared at her in disbelief. I saw you kiss him. You think you saw that. Think, not didn't happen. You're twisting things because you're paranoid. Then I mentioned the apartment, and for the first time she hesitated. Just a second, but I caught it. What apartment? She asked carefully. I told her about the photo, the messages, the lease, and suddenly the entire atmosphere changed. Cold. Dangerously cold. Emily stopped pretending. You went through my phone? There was no guilt in her voice, only anger that she got caught. You're cheating on me, I said quietly. And then she said the sentence that permanently changed how I saw her. If I was cheating, maybe ask yourself why. That hit harder than discovering the affair, because suddenly she was trying to make me responsible for her betrayal. I remember staring at her thinking, this person does not love me. Maybe she never did. Then she stepped closer and lowered her voice. You want the truth? I nodded, and she said, Ryan listens to me. Ryan makes me feel safe. Ryan doesn't make me feel trapped every second of his life. Safe. Meanwhile, I'd spent years trying to protect her from everything. Bills, stress, problems, loneliness, and somehow I became the villain in her story. I asked if she loved him. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, I don't know if I ever loved you. I swear that sentence physically hurt, like something inside my chest collapsed. Then she grabbed a few clothes from the bedroom and headed for the door. I asked where she was going. She smirked. You already know. And just before she left, she turned around and said, Oh, and stop recording me. It's creepy. Then she walked out. But about an hour later, someone started banging violently on my apartment door, and it wasn't Emily.